Hi, this is Mandy Gottfredson. I wanted to share my experience with on-site research. I had the opportunity to go to several different repositories. My first one I stopped at was Idaho State Archive in Boise, Idaho, and it's one of my favorite places to go. In a previous course, I had actually gone down to do a tour and ended up spending 3 hours there seeing the archives, the deep archives, and the black archives. But during that class, I found a person who had a memoir in their Civil War section. And so I had always meant to go back and research him a little more and connect his story to his family on Family Search. So this assignment was a perfect opportunity to go do that. I went and within an hour, I had quickly located his memoir and I had made notes, and then I didn't know what to do after that. So I discovered that I could do some research on his location, industries around the time and place that he lived, and the Civil War to kind of learn about his experiences. I ended up visiting the Boise Public Library. Just before that, I actually ended up in a Meridian Public Library, and they mostly had relevant contemporary collections for children's books, for fiction, and a few nonfiction general subjects. So when I did a search there, it led me down to the Boise Public Library, where I was able to find a section directly on the area that I was researching. So I was able to look into Bear Lake and learn about its history. And having visited there, I knew several of the communities it talked about and some of the traditions that were there and locations. I also learned who settled the area and that it was settled by members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who were asked by Brigham Young to go settle the area. It was also along the route of the Oregon Trail. So a lot of that context helped me understand why he ended up in Bear Lake from his origination down in the South. So his name was David Crockett Stewart, and he joined the Confederate Army in the Civil War, and he ended up in a battle that was well documented. The third place that I had gone to on-site research was Northwest Nazarene University, and I found that those collections were mostly literature and history, but not a lot of fiction and not a lot of well, mostly it was just literature type things. So I kind of perused some of the areas, and there was some neat older books of manuscripts of old writing and great philosophers. And I even found a section on architecture, which was my first degree. But when I went to go research, I did not end up using a catalog. I went and found the section that I had found previously, the library catalog numbers. I knew what section number it was, and I went and found that section, and just the amount of books that I was able to just sit on the floor and read through and peruse and study and learn about the war and learn about some of the conflicts and see all the available information that I hadn't considered before in a genealogy sense, because it's not records of people, it's records of events for the most part. There are a lot of people, but they're much harder to research. So in my perusal, I found a reference to his commanding officer, and I learned about a big battle that officer was part of. And in looking back at the manuscript, I realized that the person I was researching was in the midst of that battle. And his description of that battle was more in depth and from a personal, on the ground perspective of a lower ranking person, just a general soldier in that battle. Also learned how that commander kind of abandoned some of his people when he ran for the hills. And it was just really interesting to also learn what else was going on around that battle. There, it was actually a several prong approach to several areas and battles that were going on at the same time. And I would not have known that without going to an on-site research and just exploring the books. I also really enjoyed the environment there. It was quiet. It had places to take out books and just spread out and learn. And if I can find an opportunity to go do on-site research again, I am definitely going to go for it because I just loved being among all those records. I appreciate the opportunity and I have loved this class and feel like I have gained a lot of skills and honed a lot of practices that I had been doing insufficiently and have improved. And I appreciate the opportunity to grow. Thank you.